and you're at Cracking the Cash Flow Code. And my guest today is Baird Hall from Churnkey, which is an SaaS program. He's their Chief Revenue Officer. I was really interested in having Baird on because I believe the role of the Chief Revenue Officer is completely discounted, and most businesses don't even know what it is. So that's what we're going to start talking about today. So let's bring Baird on and we'll find out what a Chief Revenue Officer is. Hey, Baird, how are you today?
Hey Josh, I'm good. Thanks for having me. Yeah, Churnkey, as the Chief Revenue Officer, my job is very wide. Basically, everything revenue related, which can cover things from running the sales team, being involved with our marketing team, and making sure that those two departments aren't siloed, being the bridge between those two, but then also being involved on the product side, ensuring that as we make product decisions and release new products, that there's a go-to-market plan included, as well as very clear pricing. And then also, how do we work with existing customers on the customer success side to make sure that A, we're taking great care of our customers, but B, also increasing their price as needed as they're getting more value out of our product. So it's kind of at least at Churnkey, the chief revenue officer, you're a little bit on your own in some respects as far as not having a full team. We haven't really built out a revenue ops team, but I am working directly with every other department in our company to make sure that everything is coming together into one unified go-to-market and clear pricing product strategy.
So, how many people are in your company right now? How many team members do you guys have?
We are at about a dozen employees. We've been around for 2.5 years, and we spent probably a year and a half really working early on with a few select customers working on product market fit. But as of this year, it's just been throttled down with growth. So we're growing double digit month over month growth for the last 6 months and adding a new team member each month. So it's been pretty busy period lately.
I'm sure it is. So, you're a pretty small company to have a chief revenue officer. How did you guys decide that that was important? Typically, if I see a chief revenue officer, it's typically not till a company has 250 or 300 employees.
So with our company, we are a pure B2B SaaS company, and we work with other subscription businesses to help them reduce churn in a few different ways, including cancel flows, failed payment recovery, custom AI churn prediction, as well as reactivation campaigns. So we have a really wide spread on our product side. And so the chief revenue officer for us early on allows me to both play sales lead and jump in on the marketing side and be able to work on different areas of the company early on and build out the sales team and help build out the marketing team all at the same time. So it's um, kind of the best early position to be flexible and help grow multiple teams at the same time. We're four co-founders currently, and two or three of them are really focused on product and marketing. So I'm really focused on that the other side of the business with sales, marketing, and growing the revenue with customer success.
So, are you guys venture capital backed?
We're not venture capital backed. No, we bootstrapped for the first 2 years, and we did raise a pretty significant seed round earlier this year, and was actually funded by some of our customers, which is a kind of unique way to raise a capital round. So we had not taken VC money, but we do have quite a bit of angel investments, as well as some of our existing customers that they also do angel investments. So put a round together there, and we've luckily been able since then to be profitable each month, even as we're growing. So it's definitely an option that we'll look at maybe next year, but it's not a clear goal for us.
It's really interesting. I happen to be a big fan of profits before revenue growth. And it's so refreshing to see a SaaS company. And by the way, SaaS stands for what?
Software as a
Something
service.
software as a service. In other words,
Hmm.
like Google now is a SaaS product, or Google.
Everything is pretty much becoming a SaaS product these
Yeah,
days.
from a software point of view, it really makes a lot of sense because you've gone from a one-time sale where you used to get the little box and you put the disk in your computer and the sale was over, and then you had to find something else to sell. Versus a SaaS product gives you recurring revenue. And when it comes time for business value, you have recurring revenue versus a one-time sale that's not even, you're not even in the same ballpark. So it makes sense for customers. It makes sense for the suppliers to be doing SaaS at the same time, at least in my opinion.
It's been really interesting to watch the change in the subscription software world, even outside of just software businesses. A good example is we've been working with a lot of car washes lately because they are moving from a one-time pay per car wash model to now, hey, you can pay $20 for one car wash, or how about a 40, $50 unlimited subscription, which is consumers really enjoy that a lot more because it gives them more flexibility. They can use the car wash as needed each month. And a lot of those car wash businesses are now having to operate like a software business because it is a digital subscription, although delivered at the actual car wash, but they still want to be able to manage their account, have access to their subscription through a portal. So essentially, it's been interesting watching a lot of e-commerce companies and brick and mortar companies like car washes have to start figuring out modern day subscription business revenue operations. So we've been actually having a lot of fun because this is what we've been doing for the last 6, 7 years in helping other businesses like car washes, retail boxes, nail salons have even come to us to help them modernize their subscription management.
Yeah, it's excuse me. I actually helped a relatively large car wash chain in upstate New York put in their recurring revenue membership
Oh, really?
program. Yeah, and
It's amazing. Their new business models are just fantastic. It's unbelievable what they're able to do.
well, I would have this analogy all the time with the owner of the car wash chain was that don't think of yourself as a car wash. Think of yourself as a ski area. And by that, what I would use to say to him was, say, ski areas have changed their whole season pass strategy. And the
Hmm.
reason they changed their whole season pass strategy is they realized they had a lot of excess capacity during certain times of the year, like most of it. And instead of, trying to charge 80, 90, $100 a day, charge $800 a day and try to funnel those people mostly to ski during the week. Well, it's the same thing with car wash. Car washes have a tremendous amount of excess capacity, except for maybe 10 days a year.
Yep.
So why not try to take advantage of that, except for those 10 days a year? And how many other businesses out there could use that SaaS model for a brick and mortar business?
I think it's you know any brick and mortar business that's providing, even if it's a product like a car wash, it's really more of a service. It's if there's a continual release of value over time, that's when the subscription model becomes really, really effective. Even if it's lumpy or seasonal, we see a lot of customers that will use quarterly or annual subscriptions at a low price to even out the payments across the year. And it's just we've run one-time payment software businesses before, and sometimes with a one-time pay, when you pay per use, you can maximize your short-term revenue, but what you lose is predictability. So if you have a business that is providing continual value to a customer over time and you want to make it more predictable, even though you drop your initial revenue down a little bit, it usually makes more sense for the customer to be on a subscription. You can better allocate cost and predict that revenue that's going to be coming in over time, and usually lets you kind of have a more sustainable business rather than really high and low seasons. It doesn't work for everybody, but when the subscription model does work, customers love it, and it's usually great from a revenue standpoint.
Well, you can have a hybrid. For example, let's say
Hmm.
you have an HVAC company. You have a membership for people who need service every periodically on their stuff, and you have an installation for new product over on the other side of the wall. I mean, I just bought, we just put solar on a roof. And
Nice.
one of the things you find out with solar on your roof is you need to get the solar panels cleaned every once in a while. So wouldn't it make a lot of sense for that solar installation company to have a membership that gets your solar system checked out once a year, and maybe twice a year somebody comes and cleans the panels for you, so they stay working the way they should. I mean, to me, this is like, common sense and something that just, would work really well. Same thing for, like our heating guy. Once a year, our fuel oil folks, yeah, it's sort of a membership. We pre-bought the oil. They got paid up front for it, but I also need to get our furnace serviced every year. And if our furnace is being serviced, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to need improvement. We work with a security company that does alarms. They should be inspected periodically, and you should charge for that. And also, it gives the company a chance to do upsells for what's the newest and greatest and best while they're doing that. And so it's almost every business could figure this out unless you're like a home builder where you build homes. There's not much service you're going to do, although you probably could set up some sort of a handyman repair thing. But for those folks, it's kind of a pain in the neck and they really wouldn't want to do it. But there's a lot of opportunity there, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're
Um,
seeing the shift in the market with consumers, especially in the last 2 years. At Churnkey, we only work with subscription businesses and have helped a lot of different types of businesses launch subscription businesses. And consumers are just expecting it these days. They've gone from not really understanding subscription to now the majority of their monthly payments are subscriptions. Just everything from their streaming, Netflix, gym memberships, healthcare, everything is kind of moving that way. So a lot of times when it works, it's good to go that way.
that's been my experience also, is that, well, again, what you're really trying to create in your business is you're trying to take the one-time sale and make it into a recurring revenue stream. Because the truth is, if you go to sell your business, when we try to help people create sale-ready companies a lot, and when you're trying to create a sale-ready company, the buyer is not going to be very interested if you're a construction company or a life insurance sales company, because after you're done, what do you do next? If you can create a recurring revenue stream, then there's something for somebody to buy. But if you're only as good as your last sale, what are they buying?
Yeah, it's nice to have the subscription model really just bringing in the predictability that lets a buyer model out multiple years in advance, and then you can put a multiple on that revenue, which is always nice selling those businesses. Makes it
Right.
much more lucrative.
So it gives them something to do. So what is the biggest challenge your company? You're a young company. You guys seem to be doing pretty well. I checked out your website. It looks nice. Um, and you got some pretty impressive customers. But so what's the biggest challenge your company is facing right now?
I'd say our biggest challenge right now is I wouldn't say it's close, somewhere around customer acquisition. Kind of what we're really good at right now is when a customer has a really serious churn problem. So they have a subscription business with a churn rate over 7, 8, 10, 15% or higher. We can step in and solve a lot of their reactivation problems, a lot of their retention issues. Every day, every week, I'm probably speaking to 3 to 4 different AI companies that are growing really fast. And as a result, they're losing 20, 30% of their subscribers each month, but they're still growing because they're just gaining that many more per month. So when we find a customer that's at that right situation where they're ready to tackle churn, it's a great fit. But our toughest challenge is finding customers at that point. They find us a lot, which is great, and that's a very predictable inbound stream of business. But scaling that out and finding customers at a much faster rate has probably been our biggest challenge. Um, and then also just we're launching multiple products all at the same time and helping customers. Started with cancel flows first. So basically helping subscription businesses manage their cancellation flow and recover customers that were planning on canceling and saving them. That's where we started the business. And now we've launched into a lot of different products. I'd say we're having rolling those out has been a challenge to a 200 customer base with multiple products and a small team. So those are probably the two biggest challenges that we have. But ever since the interest rates changed, was that 20 fall of 21? Uh, the focus towards retention has greatly increased. Where before those interest rate changes, most customers were able to take $1,000, put it into Google Ads, and get $2 or $3,000 back. But that's not the case anymore, and companies are now focusing inward to see how can we better retain our subscribers, because that's a lot cheaper than going out and buying new ones.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always better to try to keep a customer instead of losing it and then finding
hmm
something else you can sell the customer. So, with your 200 customers that you have and you bring out new products, how do you introduce new products to them?
So we generally do it through email as far as the notification of what's coming. We give a month or two heads up before a new product launches. So a good example is we are working on precision retries. So the idea that when a customer's credit card fails, when do you try to charge it again and at what schedule? And we are finding very predictable patterns of what works and what doesn't work for retrying credit cards. So we'll send out an email to tease it and explain what the product's going to do. We'll ask customers to schedule basically a customer interview to where we can ask them about their current process, demo what's coming, and then basically pitch them on the upsell and try to help them find the right price point for adding that new product. And it's tough having a large software product with multiple products, because some customers want to pick and choose, some customers want a low level of all of them. So what we're having to do is create bundling different features and services together to meet these different needs of customers, whether it be them just needing cancel flows or just payment retries, or they want the whole software package together. So it winds up being a lot of different product and packages, but that seems to be working out the best so far.
Have you folks ever thought about having a customer advisory board?
We do. We have one. We have two investors that are on it, as well as a customer success expert who's he's one of the best customer success leaders out there in software, and he's on our advisory board as well. That's
No,
been relatively.
what I mean by a customer advisory board,
Oh, with customers, I got you.
the customer it's what used to be called a users group in the software world.
hmm
But what we have found is that a customer advisory board, they can tell you what you should be doing.
hmm
Too often, this is what I see way too often in businesses, is a business comes up with all these ideas and they come out with all these things to do, and then they put it out to market and they find out there isn't a lot of interest in it. So what a customer advisory board allows you to do, first it gets you to run by what you've got. You then have all these champions out there running because once a customer understands your business, they start talking to other peers, which bring people into your universe. And most importantly, they can tell you, say, this works for me, this doesn't work for me. And the one caveat I always tell people, say, when a customer says, you should do X, the first thing you should ask them is, okay, if I do X, will you buy it and will you pay me money for it? And if they say no, ignore what they just said. If they say yes, they say, okay, so when we design this, you're going to be our first customer, right? And if they say yes, then it's probably a good idea, especially if four or five or six other people in the room say the same thing. So that might be, that's just an idea I would, it's one of my favorite things to see all businesses do. We did it with our food service company, and it has served me enormously well over the years.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And the concept of pre-selling, we have always called it, selling the ghost is the term that we've used, and that before we build a product, we actually have the sales conversations first and pitch it as if it exists. And then when we get the verbal commitment, we say, okay, great, we'll let you know when it's ready. So having those hard conversations first, we've made that mistake in the past of, um, yeah, having happy ears when they say they'll buy it, and then you build it, and turns out if they haven't actually said yes, I'll swipe the credit card, probably is not going to happen.
Well, that's the whole thing is that you have to say, okay, I build this, are you going to buy it?
hmm
And if you do that, then it's a really good thing. If you say, well, I don't know, then you say, okay, there must be something about this that you're not wild about.
Yeah.
And, I learned this back when I had my food service company. Our software vendor used to always build stuff we had no interest in. And I finally went to the owners of the company and said, look, you need a user group because your engineers don't run a vending company. They don't know what a vending company needs. We do because we run a vending company, and you have 250 other people that run vending companies. Get your best users in a room and let us help you develop your product. And they did. And
Yeah,
their
that
sales
makes
went
sense.
way up as a result of that because they were now developing stuff that people in the industry actually wanted to use. So it was always a good thing to do. So you have a thing here, just a little bit of time left. You have a thing here. What does sustainability beyond profit mean?
For us, sustainability, we use the term being a calm company. And it's the idea that, of course, yes, we're looking for profits as a priority, but also we want to make sure that we are operating in a calm manner where, A, we're not chasing customers that aren't good fits, and we're not chasing short-term revenue that's not a good fit. B, we're also not hiring for positions that there's not a specific need for. And we're also not listening to parts of the market that we don't think we can bring value to. So all of those things coming together, we really focus on making sure that from one month to the next, we can operate in the very similar, predictable manner and not have massive spikes and droughts because those periods when you're growing super fast, you can get burnt out with that. Even if things, even though your revenue and numbers and growth are going great, if you're all of a sudden having to completely change your lifestyle and work nights over and over again, you're still going to get burnt out. And then usually those aren't sustainable, so you wind up having a big dip and going through a huge drought period. So we try to make sure that each month we're having partners meetings and looking at everything and saying, is this the business that we set out to run? Because a lot of times it can get away from you. Things can get crazy. You can overhire yourself because you got too excited about a certain part of the market, and then all of a sudden you if you don't have those regular check-ins and say like, is this really the type of business we want to be running? It can just get away from you. We've had too many ups and downs to not try to prepare to, you can't make everything super predictable. But that's kind of our approach that we've had of making sure that we're staying calm at all times, even amongst growth and in tough times.
Cool. Hey, Beard, unfortunately, we're out of time, and I'm going to bet that people listening to this podcast, some of them might have SaaS businesses, and some might be having renewal issues. So, how would they find you guys? And once they find you, what would you like them to do?
I would say the easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure I'm the only Baird Hall on LinkedIn. I've searched it a couple times. I'm the only person that comes up. So if you want to find me on LinkedIn, that's probably the easiest, Baird Hall. And then also visit our website, churnkey.co, churnkey.co, and learn about our different products and reach out. We'd love to chat. We work with all types of different businesses, from software, as I mentioned, to car washes and brick and mortar mom and pop shops. So if you're struggling with subscription renewals or just moving to a subscription business, we'd love to chat.
Cool. And I've been asking this for 422 times now, which is wherever you're listening to this podcast, please go and give us an honest rating and review. If you love us, you can give us 5 stars. If you don't love us, you can give us less. And I might just cry a little bit and you can laugh. Laugh a lot about that, but that
We
might
got to have
happen.
feedback.
That's right. We want some good feedback. I want an honest review. It's really important. Helps people find the show, and people find the show, they kind of like it. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for joining us. So this is Josh Patrick with Baird Hall. You're at Cracking the Cash Flow Code. Thanks a lot for stopping by. I hope to see you back here really soon.